Alright, in this lesson we'll reintroduce some of the math methods that are available on our series objects, and we'll also dive into some brand new ones. So let's begin by re-executing our code to import our Google stock price CSV into our notebook. And I'm also going to preview the first three rows with the head method, just so that we have a reminder that we're dealing with a series of floating point values here. And let's begin with the count method. So it's going to be google.count with parentheses. And what count does is return us a count of the number of valid values within our series. Now you may ask, how is this any different from passing our series into something like Python's len function? And in this case, it's going to give us the exact same result. But the difference here is that count excludes null values or missing values. Those are the ones that are designated with that NaN symbol that we saw in a previous lesson. Now in this case, we're dealing with a series that doesn't have any missing values, so the result from len is going to be the exact same as count. But if we were dealing with missing values, count will not include them, while len will, because len's just taking the literal length of the number of rows in the series, while count is specifically counting how many of those are valid values rather than blank ones. So that's just the difference between count and len. But you can, many times, if you know that your data is totally not missing any values, they operate the exact same. We also have our sum method, which, as you may recall, takes all the values in a series, adds them up together, it gives it to us. So all of the Google stock prices combined here are 1,006,942. We also have the mean method, which gives us the average of all of our series values. So that's the sum of everything divided by the total number of values, which is 334. By the way, I can validate this by taking the sum and dividing it by the total number of values. So this is the exact same operation as the mean method does, and you can see it gives us the exact same result. For all the statisticians out there, we have the STD method, which is standard deviation, hopefully. And that gives us, I think in statistical terms, the average of the distances from the mean. It's been a while since I studied statistics, but standard deviation is available here. We also have min and max methods. Now, as you may recall, we passed our series into Python's built-in min and max functions, and they would give us the exact same results. But we can also call the min and max custom methods directly on our series objects. So there is the smallest value within our series, and here is the largest one with the max method. We also have the median method, and if you remember from 4th grade math, the median is the middle value whenever you sort all the values and start extracting equal numbers or an equal count from each end. And if you extract one from the left and one from the right all the way until you arrive at the number in the middle of that sorted sequence, that represents the median. So the median of our data set is 283. We also have the mode. That represents the value that occurs the most frequently. And here we can see it's 291 and 21 cents. And I believe if there's a tie, it's going to give us both of them. And what we can actually see that's being returned here is actually a brand new one-item series. So if there's more than one value within the series that is tied for the most occurrences, they're both going to be represented in the series that's returned. And finally, there is a great kind of big catch-all method called describe. And what describe does is perform a lot of these calculations all at once and just give us a big statistical summary right below the cell. So if I take a look at describe, it's going to do a lot of the things that we just did. It's going to include the count of the number of values, the average or the mean, the standard deviation, the minimum, which is the smallest number, the max, which is the greatest value within our series, as well as the percentiles. So what this 25% means is that 25% of the values within the series fall below $218.04, 50% fall below $283.31, and so on and so forth. It kind of splits it up into quarter increments, 4 total increments. So the describe method is a really great way to get all these methods all at once without running them one line at a time. So these are just some of the available math methods on series objects: count, sum, mean, STD, max, min, median, mode, and describe. Now, there's a whole library of other available methods depending on your line of work. There's tons of statistics methods and mathematical methods and economics methods. But just for the kind of general beginner, this should be enough to give you a sense of how some of these methods operate on a series. I do advise you to go to the general Pandas series documentation page if you want to take a look at some of the more complex, more advanced math methods that are available there. But I'll see you in the next lesson.